Good morning. Happy Friday. I am caffeined up this morning. Welcome to the How I Built It podcast, an entrepreneur story. And to clarify, it's a local entrepreneur story, a small business story, somebody in our community. The How I Built It podcast, if you've never tuned in before, I'm super amped up right now. I've had a lot of caffeine. I've already had one cold brew. This is another cold brew. But if you've never turned into the How I Built It podcast, this is about the local entrepreneur, the small business, their struggles, their triumphs, and everything that they've gone through to get to where they are. Whether they're in a good place or bad place, it doesn't matter, because failure is a stepping stone to success. And it in our community, it's easy to listen to podcasts about very successful people. That's totally cool. It's totally inspiring. But it's great to relate to people who are in the battle right now. They're on the battlefield, still working to get there. Mm-hmm. And that's what this podcast is about. My wife has told me to slow down on the caffeine. Here's the issue. Okay, I'm a cold brew guy. We're going to talk about coffee for a second. And Eric understands. We've already talked a lot about it. Eric is a guy who I can talk to for probably like 4 hours and feel like it was 30 minutes, you know?
I feel the same way.
Thank you. Thank you. And also shout out to Bad Birdie. If you want awesome fitting polos with like awesome designs, go to badbirdie.com. They have great selections. Tuesday will be like a Saved by the Bell design. You know, remember the Saved by the Bell?
I do. I like it.
Thank you. But I had a coffee meeting this morning with my man Derek. Derek is a credit consultant, and I made coffee at my house, and then I got to the office and realized, oh crap, I have a coffee meeting with Derek. So then I was like, I need to go get coffee with Derek. And then I cannot drink the coffee because I do not like wasting things. So for me, I was like, I got to have coffee with Derek, and then I have to drink my coffee that I made because I can't waste it. And if you know me, my wife will tell you that if I have like the buy drinks from or the fizzy ones, like I will get every last drop possible because I don't want to waste it, and I hate wasting food. I just don't like wasted because that's wasted money. You know?
Hate that.
I hate it too. But coffee, I'm a cold brew guy. I do not like regular coffee. I like cold brew. More caffeine, goes down smoother, way better tasting. So if you haven't tried cold brew, I don't know where you've been for the past 3 years, but you need to try cold brew. Okay, so really quick, we got to give a shout out to our sponsors. We're on Instagram. What's up, Instagram? I got people calling me now. Mark, I'm on a podcast right now.
Too busy.
Hold on. Mark, I'm live in a podcast. You need to go watch on Facebook and talk to me on there. All right. So, How I Built It podcast. We got to get a quick shout out to our sponsors. Empire West Title, Seth Banda. Eric's good friends with Seth as well. We love you, Seth. If anybody needs a marketing rep for title work or just any help throwing classes or anything, Seth is awesome. Make sure to give him a call. Then we have Abe Bunn from Insurance Professionals of Arizona. If you need a quote on insurance, you better call Abe because he's awesome. And he's honest, Abe. And then last but not least, Yvonne Hunter from Platinum Home Warranty. Look, Eric knows all the people I'm talking about right now.
They're all amazing.
They're all. If you need a home, why is Yvonne from Platinum Home Warranty amazing? Besides, she's my sister. Yeah.
Besides that, the one thing I like at her company, I think her company stands out drastically. They've got all in-house workers. You're not dealing with third-party, vendors. Helps my clients out a lot. She's my go-to.
Yeah, she's awesome. Get your home warranty. Make sure you have your home warranty renewed on your house, because when your AC craps out, I'll say it once, I'll say it again, I'll say it forever, you're going to regret not having Yvonne from Platinum Home Warranty.
And that's when you don't want to wait for the third-party vendors.
Yes, exactly. So thank you to our sponsors. Thank you for also sponsoring our show. We love you. Hey, look, Mark showed up. That's right, Mark. You don't call me when I'm live on the podcast. You go on the podcast live stream. All right, so obviously this show is brought to you by me, Andrew Augustino from the Augustino team at Prime Lending. If you need any home financing needs, you call me, you message me, you DM me. Eric texts me at like 11 o'clock at night sometimes.
I do.
Sometimes even 1 in the morning.
Oh, it happens.
It does happen. All right, so today we have Eric Fullam from Scottsdale Spotlight, the owner of Scottsdale Spotlight, and I'm excited for the show. Also, but if you haven't subscribed to our podcast on your Apple phones, sorry, Android, we're not on there because we're on Apple. Make sure to subscribe, because if you can't catch us live, you can always listen to all our old podcasts that are up there. So make sure to subscribe. But we have Eric Fullam, owner of Scottsdale Spotlight. Good friend of mine. We've known each other for a couple years now. And I remember when Scottsdale Spotlight started. And there's been a lot of evolution.
Oh, yeah.
In the it's been 2 years now. Right?
No, actually just over a year. I think
Just
I'm at
over a
like
year.
14 months now.
14 months. But the evolution has been crazy. But just me looking on the outside in, it's awesome to see, because every business goes through evolution. But I think yours has evolved fast. Like, and correct me if I'm wrong, and we'll kind of back it up in a second, but it's cool to see a business go from your initial idea of what you wanted to do with it to what it is now, and the type of business you're doing with Scottsdale Spotlight. And would you say that you're a media company almost now?
I think I would, actually. I've kind of ventured out a little bit from real estate, still doing real estate full time, but kind of like you mentioned, Scottsdale Spotlight took a thing on its own, and now it kind of is a media company. So,
and that's what I've noticed. And you're teaching classes for social media, but let's back it up. Okay, so give us kind of your story. Where you came from, the stepping stones to get to Scottsdale Spotlight, because you still do real estate.
Yeah.
But back it up.
Yeah, so funny enough, when I originally moved out here, I came out here to go to ASU, and I was going to school to be an orthodontist. Got all the way up to applying to dental schools and freaked out, realized I wanted nothing to do with it. And
well, you didn't like biology and chemistry?
See, that actually didn't bother me so much. It was actually like the hours of internships that I was doing that I was realizing, if I can't sit in an office for 3 hours, I don't know why the hell I think I can do it the rest of my life.
Yeah.
So
that's actually a very good thing to realize, because I bet there's a ton of people who even get further into the process, getting past their medical exams and getting into, rotations and stuff like that, and they probably realize the same thing.
Yeah. It's, at a young age, I was really fixated on the fact that you become some sort of doctor and you become rich. It just, it happens that way.
Yeah. And then you have a lot of debt.
Yep, exactly. And, as I got older, I realized that there was just a whole lot of other ways to make money and things that I like doing a whole lot more. And so, having a family in real estate, I went ahead and got my real estate license. And the funniest thing about that is, when I got my real estate license, I realized really quickly that I thought I hated it. And it was because everybody kept telling me that the only way that I was going to do business is if I sold, sat open houses and door knocked and did everything that's just a whole lot of not fun.
Yeah.
And so, it was actually your show that inspired me a lot to go look at doing something different.
Then the whole show's purpose has been met.
No, seriously.
I know. I'm pumped.
Yeah, no, you invited me on the show.
Caffeined up.
And, I saw what you were doing for other people, and it was amazing. You were providing value, and that's something that they teach everywhere, is that if you can provide value to people, that, it's going to come back on you. And so I really, sought after some way that I could, number one, attach my name to the city of Scottsdale. Like, I really wanted to do something that if somebody thought of my name, that they would also think of the city of Scottsdale. Yeah. I also wanted to do something that I was going to be providing value to the people that I really thought would be the ones to actually give me business, and those are business owners. They're usually the most trusted people in the community. They're usually, very well known.
Did you initially think of Scottsdale Spotlight to be like a newsletter type thing, or like what direction were you going with it?
To be completely honest with you, my original thought of this is I thought I was going to put out these video pieces, and that people online were going to watch them and be like, wow, this guy is connected, and they were going to hit me up through Instagram and want to buy houses. And boy, was I wrong.
Because everybody who gets into real estate, it's that easy. You get your real estate license, you become a loan officer, and boom, you get business. Unfortunately, that's not how it works.
No, not even close. And so
Mark on my team, Mark Tomasowski, I don't even know how you pronounce that right. The other Polak on my team, he's from Scottsdale. So you're making nice. You're making him happy right now.
Awesome. The other thing about it too, it's one of the most commonly things that people ask me is, how I started with something that had 0 followers, that wasn't even existent, and, got it to where I'm at now. And the funniest thing about that is I just started doing it. Like when I first started, I didn't care that I had 0 followers. I didn't care that nobody was going to watch my video. I was just determined to go make these videos and put them online. Like I was going to figure everything else out later. I needed to get started. And I think that's one of the biggest mistakes that entrepreneurs make is they wait until they think that they know everything when in reality, you're never going to know anything.
No.
And so, you know,
that's the honest reality. And I still don't know everything. You still don't know everything. I've been doing mortgage for freaking almost 8 years now, and last year was ranked top 1% in the nation. And I can honestly say I still don't know everything. I'm not the best at everything. You figure out what you're good at, and you go all in on that. But you still have to learn the hard way. And there's too many people. There's nothing wrong with going to classes and educating yourself in knowledge. But you're right. I see it so much where people want to figure it all out, and then they're going to start, which, no offense, in reality is a cop-out to actually doing the work and falling flat on your face, which may be an issue with generations, right? With, the helicopter parent or not letting your child fall flat on their face and protecting them from falling flat on their face. So I think it's also a generational thing of like, you don't want to see your kid fail. And then the kid gets it ingrained in their head that that's how to process everything. But no, you have to freaking learn the hard way. And it's not necessarily failing or fake it till you make it. It's not that.
Yeah.
It's just you got to go through the triumphs and the failures, and that's how you learn every single set. And you got to be okay with failing.
Exactly.
You have to be ultra comfortable with failing, and you have to almost accept failure to the point of if you succeed, it's like, holy crap, it worked.
Exactly. Yeah. And, one thing that I, really have done with this page as well is I also, like when I first started, I also wasn't waiting for people's permission either. When I started shooting my video features, I wasn't setting up videos, like video shoots or anything else. I was showing up in these businesses and asking for the manager and saying, hey, by the way, I'm going to film some content and post it on my Instagram page. I was just determined to get this thing started. I was motivated, and I kind of had some sort of vision, even though it's not the same vision I had now. I had some vision that was keeping me going. And to even back this up a little bit, I think you'll remember this as well, but do you remember when we talked, back probably when we first met and I started that San Trevicia Facebook page?
Yes.
Talking about failure.
So wait. Let's give a little a backstory. What was the San Trevicia page? What I like about you though, Eric, is that you did all these little things, and it was never right. You were never, even though you still do real estate, a good part of your life is Scottsdale Spotlight right now,
yeah.
and featuring all these other businesses and having this company as well and making that succeed. But what I love about you is you were never the guy who did the normal. And I posted this yesterday, and I posted and you saw the bathing suit.
I was about to bring that up.
And people made comments about, I have a bathing suit. My kid's swim instructor, Chelsea Oaks. If you need a kid's swim instructor, you call Chelsea Oaks because she freaking rocks. And I saw these swimsuits online, and I was like, I wonder if I could customize it and have Chelsea wear it, because during the summer, Chelsea and all her swim instructors, they teach like 500 to 700 kids.
Wow.
And I was like, there's a lot of moms and parents that when Chelsea's getting in and out of the pool, they're like, oh, what kind of bathing suit is she wearing? And you look at the bathing suit, like, oh, I bet you there's so many moms who are like, oh, I like that bathing suit.
Mm-hmm.
All right, that looks comfortable. And I was like, Chelsea, if I brand a bathing suit, can I pay you to wear it? And she's like, hell yeah, let's go. And so I did the bathing suit. And if you haven't seen it, go on my Instagram right now and look at my story. My wife designed the best freaking bathing suit, and it's funny. I love it, and it has my face on the back. What's up? And
his face is coming out of her butt, essentially.
Yes, it is. And you know what? People are like, oh my goodness, you really did that? And I was like, hell yeah, I did that. And same thing goes like these Bad Birdie polos. Like, they're freaking vibrant, but like, I guarantee you, most people don't. They'd be like, oh no, she never wear that bathing suit, like, or even ask. And even if she does wear the bathing suit one time, I don't freaking care, because it's different. And in business, you have to be different. And if you do the normal thing, you will have the normal results of everybody else who is normal in that business, which in real estate is crappy, right? The average agent closes what? 3 deals?
Yeah, 3 or 4, I think.
3 or 4 deals a year?
Yeah.
And you want to know why? Because they get into the business and they think, oh, I'm going to go do the Facebook leads or the conversion leads or the Zillow leads, or I'm going to go sit this, or I'm going to go do this. And it's the same thing everybody does. Well, don't you think that if everybody else was doing that, why isn't everybody more successful? Why is the average number 3 to 4 deals a year for the average real estate agent or the average loan officer? Because probably the thing that everybody does is the thing that doesn't produce the crazy amount of results. Mm-hmm. And what I love about you is that ever since you got into the business, you were never the guy who did the normal. Like you never did that. You initially went to like businesses, and you're just like, hey, how do I promote you? How would I offer a discount for people who come through me to use your business? And that's how you were networking, was you were just going to other business owners and saying, what's up?
Yeah. Well, I was a no-name agent. Like you were young. I was young. I didn't have a name for myself. And one of the biggest ways that I established credibility for myself is I went and positioned myself next to established businesses. And, I was able to do that by marketing them. But when I was, doing my different pool parties and different events that I was hosting, people would come by and they would say like, oh, like you've done work with Body. Like I love that gym. And all of a sudden I have credibility now because my face is next to that business name.
Yes.
And it worked tremendously.
That perspective right there, like that shows your mindset. Like that you were just going for credibility. You weren't going for the transaction. You weren't chasing the person who is looking for a home at that time, because it's all timing in this business. You were just going for credibility to hopefully build something that the minute that somebody in that gym thinks about it, somebody else is going to say your name. But I just love that you were doing that. So that brings us to the San Travicia situation. Yeah. Is it Instagram? How many people got on?
No, everybody just logged off.
They logged off. So, all right, San Travicia. Give us the story on that.
Yeah, so I started doing pool parties there, different events there, and my overall goal with this is I was going to create this Facebook page that was essentially a group that everybody in this, community could be involved in. And me and you, Andy, we talked a lot about this, tried to get this started. We had this, what I thought was a brilliant idea, and I launched this page. I literally had 0 people follow it. Like there wasn't one single person that engaged with that, and it was like easily one of the most failed things I think I've ever done.
The San Travicia
Yes,
page. Okay.
Yes. The events, they did pretty well, but the page itself, like that was, completely failed. And the biggest thing with that I realized is that there was no reason for people to go there. There wasn't any sort of value coming out of that page. Like even myself, that was the biggest realization that I made, is if I came across that page, I wouldn't even follow it. There was nothing on there for me, to engage with me. So, that's one of those things that, with successful entrepreneurs, it's not really about like how they fail, it's how they come back from that. Because any entrepreneur that you meet, they're going to have a million stories of how they failed, but every single one of them, they bounce back instantly. And it's how fast that you can recoil that, really, speaks a lot about you. And one of the easiest ways that I describe that is it's like, every time you get hit with a hard lesson, it's like somebody throwing a piece of gold at you, and you can either deflect it with a shield, but you don't get that piece of gold. Like it's not going to hurt you. You deflected it, but that piece of gold is gone. Or you can take it right off the chin and bend down and pick it up. How fast can you pick it up, though, is the biggest factor on how good of an entrepreneur you're going to be.
So, and here, okay, so here's another thought that just came into my, and again, I am freaking caffeined up right now because I've had way too much caffeine, but I wouldn't even say, like, I think a lot of people don't even give themselves a chance to fail, in the sense of not that they never attempt it, that they attempt it, and like your San Travicia situation.
Yeah.
I don't even think that's done yet. Like, like internally, people still know you from there, right? So
exactly.
And a lot of people will get into something 3 or 4 or 5 months in experiment. Like I've seen people like come rent out a studio, do their own podcast here at Lister Pro Studio. Thank you, Lister Pro Studio, for helping produce the show. But I've seen people, after being on our show, come do their own podcast, which is awesome. Like that is awesome for me to hear. But 5 months later, 6 months later, they stop. And it's not necessarily that they failed. They just never got far enough to let it go. And even for this podcast, I've been doing it for 2.5 years ish, and I don't even care if one person watches, if two people watch. Like, I don't care. Sometimes I've had 30 people watch. We just got on Apple as a couple months ago. Like, who knows where it's going to be in 10 years? But you can't, whether 5 people watch at a time, it's 10 o'clock on a Friday. I don't expect 1 million people to be watching,
Exactly.
you know? But if your story inspires one person, or just like you said, when you were on this podcast initially and you were just like, I need to, like that inspired you to go bring value to others and not necessarily think about the dollar bill that's coming back, but it was just like the relationship. And I 100% know and believe and can tell you straight up that if you focus on the relationship and you don't have the dollar bills attached to it, the dollar bills will come, the success will come, but you have to focus, you have to let that be a byproduct of what you're trying to do. And so, but there's so many people who start something and then let it fizzle off, and then they go back to it again. They never let it fail. Because I think honestly, if you keep doing something long enough, it won't fail. Like that's my opinion.
No, I 100% agree with that, because I teach it a lot when I do like social media type classes and things like that. That Scottsdale Spotlight, when I first started, you can scroll back through my old posts. Like, my first videos that I made were bad.
They weren't that bad though. I thought they were good for you doing your videos. They were good.
Okay, they were good for a real estate agent who picked up their cell phone and shot video. Like,
Yeah.
Okay. I'll give you that. But the thing is that, there's plenty of other pages that are quote unquote competitors of mine, I guess you could say.
In Scottsdale?
Not in Scottsdale, just kind of in the valley in
Okay.
general. But, the one thing that sets me apart from all of them is my consistency with content. I'm the only person that actually goes out and shoots this content for free, because I understand that my page needs content.
Yeah.
Most other organizations, they need money coming in from somewhere. They don't have a real estate income that supports, everything else. And so, it's the consistency with your content, because exactly like you said, most people start something, they fizzle out 5 months later and it disappears. And so when somebody, becomes aware of something and they come back and look at it 5 months later and you're gone, well, you're lost.
Oh, exactly. It was something that people know of, but you have to give it time to get momentum. Like, think of like a snowball going down, or an avalanche. Avalanche starts with just like one piece of snow or one rock getting to snowfall, and then it keeps getting bigger and bigger and bigger. And sometimes things are going to take 1 month to develop. Sometimes it's going to take 2 years to develop. And I talk about that a lot with new relationships that I make. And that's in two parts. Of number one, I just posted this the other day. You have to audit your circle. Hey, Colton, I love you, man. You have to audit your circle, right?
Uh-huh.
There's too many people who waste so much time. Like, time is money, straight up.
Absolutely.
And people don't realize that, like, half the time they're wasting so much time on things that don't matter or they don't bring money. And you have to audit your circle and who you're wasting time on. And it's taken me 7 years to realize this, and I've only started realizing this the past couple of years, but I can see myself now where I know if I'm in a meeting somebody that I have no interest of ever doing business with. Now I know, I'm aware of that, but you have to be aware of who's in your circle, who you're wasting time with, because at the end of the day, what else could you be doing with that time? Or if you're wasting freaking 8 hours a day calling leads, what else could you do with that 8 hours? I've been asked so many times of hey Andrew, this is the best. You want to split these Zillow leads with me? That'll cost like $2,000 a month. And I'm just like, my question is like, okay, that's like literally throwing all this bait into the freaking ocean and hoping for one marlin to come bite it. I don't know if that's a good analogy, but you get what I'm saying.
I got you.
And so I'm like, in my head, what bigger impact could I have with that money that gets me in front of people? And there was another post I had that nothing will replace human contact. Like, we have all these hashtags, we have Instagram, we have this podcast, but nothing replaces human interaction at the end of the day. And it's almost more valuable now because everybody is so overwhelmed with social media that human interaction is the abnormal, right?
Yeah, no, it's true. And I think one thing that you could probably say with your business as well, with my Scottsdale Spotlight, all of my business, like, I don't really generate anything through my online presence. Like, I mean, my online presence helps with my credibility and helps get me through the door. But all of my deals that I'm closing are from actually being on set filming with these people and actually meeting the business owners. And it's my face-to-face interactions that are actually closing me deals. Like my Instagram, like that's what everybody thinks, is that the Instagram's going to pump the business. The Instagram page gets you through the door. It's you that actually has to close the deal.
Ooh, that's a enlightening comment right there. That's the truth. Say that one more time.
Yeah, that your Instagram builds your credibility and gets you through the door, but it's your face-to-face interaction that's actually going to close the deal.
Thank you. And your social media, your Facebook, everything like that. And obviously, this depends on your type of business, right? If you're a carpet cleaning company or something like that, you're more transactional based. But if you're a business that historically relies on referral, like that's what you have to know is all your social media. It doesn't replace your business. It adds to your business or gives you the opportunities that when they present themselves that allow you to attack it and seal the deal essentially. But they present the opportunities. But going back to the comment of like auditing your circle, it's so important to like take a look and like too many people don't audit what they do on a year-to-year basis, right? Like I'll tell you, last year was a transformational year for me. Because I took a look and, mortgage volume went a little bit down across the board.
Mm-hmm.
And I said, what am I wasting time on? And what I did is in 2019, I kind of went back to the basics of kind of what I built my business on in the first place. And my volume in mortgage has been up like 65%. Like I think I'm at about 20 mil this year already.
Nice.
And the reality is you have to audit, go back when you're finished the year, and even you can do this on a quarterly basis or a semi-annually basis, but you have to audit your circle or audit what you did in business and what actually is working and what actually wasn't working. And it's not necessarily that you have to cut out what wasn't working, but maybe you have to adjust it and alter what you're doing. Because again, I still believe that if you do something long enough and you tweak it and you make it better, it won't fail. Like you had to make tweaks to Scottsdale Spotlight.
Oh, completely.
Like,
yeah.
all right, so tell us like as Scottsdale Spotlight was growing. So you started the media company to essentially get the credibility, but slowly, how did it transform? It was more of a group page, but how did it transform to a media company? Like where was the changing?
Yeah. So one of the first things that I started noticing is that, all of these free videos that I was shooting, it was a lot of times on site that I was, set up with my lights and everything. And I was having random people come over and asking me, how much I was getting paid to be there. And that was kind of the first light bulb that I was like, oh, like people actually see value in this. And so I started getting kind of some inquiries here and there about shooting videos for people. But this time I was still shooting everything from my cell phone. And so I decided to go ahead and just buy a camera. I had gotten $500 from my parents for Christmas. And so I invested all of that into a camera, put some of my own money into it. And I think that, is really when everything with that page started to explode. Like as soon as I got that camera, I started getting, all sorts of business deals from high-end hotels, from corporate companies. Now I'm getting to, fly around the United States and shoot videos, training videos for corporate companies.
Was it like because your quality? Was it like what was so different?
I still don't necessarily have an answer to that question.
It was just maybe is the fact that you gave yourself value.
Well, and here's the other thing that I've heard from quite a few like high-end hotels that I've shot videos for is I think a lot of it has to do with the fact that I'm not trained, that I have no idea what I'm doing. And so when I come and put these videos together, they look different than everybody else who actually has some sort of background in film. And things like that.
Like it's not generic.
Yep. One of the things that people have said is that with my video content, they like it because it gives more of a first-person view of how somebody would experience the business in real life as opposed to just like a quick promo video. And so, for my goal on Scottsdale Spotlight to try to introduce these new places to people in the city, that was my whole goal is, how can I show these people what it's going to look like if they walk through the door?
Yeah.
And so that was, the whole angle with it.
As opposed to being some trained videographer of angles.
And now that I'm getting better, I feel like I'm starting to kind of shift over in that direction a little bit now that I'm starting to learn. But, quite frankly, I think the biggest thing as to why I started to succeed is I knew really quickly how to put myself out there, and I knew how to speak to business people.
Yeah.
Most other videographers, I mean, even right now, there's videographers that produce a way better product than I do, but I'm landing the contracts because I actually have the connections in the city. I know the people. Like I said, I know how to talk to these business people.
Which shows you it doesn't matter how, that's a great example from Eric, if you're listening. That's a great example of it doesn't matter how good you are at something. You have to recognize what your strengths are, and you have to hone in on that and figure out how that can be used productively. So Eric's flat out saying he's not the best videographer in the world, but he knows that his strength is getting the business, networking, and friend making. I mean, a lot of our businesses, it's all friend making, let's be honest.
Yeah.
In any business, if you get into something where you rely on others promoting you, you have to make as many friends as possible or make those relationships, but not as many friends as possible. You have to make the solid relationships. But there's people who, if you are a very good videographer and you may not be the best in networking, what do you need to do? You need to hire somebody to go get the business for you. And you have to make that an investment. So it's so important to recognize what your strength is and not try to step out of your lane.
Well, and here's the other thing too that nobody else sees on my side of my business either. Everybody always sees these big wins that I have, but they don't see that. I mean, I've given up my whole social life for I've given up everything. I work about 15 to 20 hours a day, 7 days a week. It's a grind. But how I'm landing all this business is I shoot so much free content, you would be mind blown. And what happens is when, for instance, Hotel Autoline, they actually have me doing all of their content creation now.
Nice.
And
for what, social media too?
Yeah. And
no way.
That actually all stemmed from me hanging out with the bartender in the speakeasy. And I shot videos with him for weeks. And it wasn't until I shot probably 15 videos that management saw it and they were like, hey, who's doing this? Let's get him in here and get him on payroll. And so, just as simple as that. And that's what I think too many people are afraid of, is they're afraid to actually go get their hands dirty. They won't do anything unless there's a paycheck, and they don't realize that the paycheck that's twice as big is waiting on the other side of some free work.
Oh man, that is, I always relate it back to real estate because that's my thing, right? And there's so many people, if you're going to get into real estate mortgage, and I've seen so many people get into it for 3 months, 4 months, 5 months, and be done because they didn't make enough, or I've seen people not, take a discount on their commission or help, out the clients because, they don't want to devalue themselves. And there's nothing wrong with not devaluing yourself, but sometimes you got to understand that it's not about that dollar in that specific moment. You just can't have the only thing that you're doing it for the dollar. And if you don't make exactly what you need to make, then you're not going to do it.
Exactly.
You can't, because you're right. You don't know what's on the other side. It's like that. You've seen that thing on Instagram of the two guys digging out the tunnel, and the one guy starts turning back and he gives up, but he doesn't realize that another foot later is the treasure.
Yep.
You just don't know when that next relationship is going to be, or that next person that, okay, man, he did some work for free with me. Man, that's awesome. I'm going to refer him out to 10 other people because of how awesome they were. So there's nothing more valuable than that comment of you just don't know when the huge contract is going to come. So it's okay to work for free. It's okay to work for a discounted rate. It's okay because it's just constant buildup. It's fuel to the fire,
Exactly. And, one thing that I think is a little bit controversial in the real estate industry, but I stand by it completely, is when you first get into real estate, everybody says hey, do not give up any of your commitment. You work for 3% and that's it.
Yeah.
My whole point of view, if you're a new agent, I don't think you're worth the same amount of money as the agent that's been in it for 15 years.
That's a very good point.
And, and I think as a new agent, that's your value pitch. Why would anybody work with you if you're the same amount of money as the guy that actually knows what he's doing? That is your pitch, is you're cheaper.
Dude, that is mind blowing of a comment right there.
And it's one of those things where with any business, when you start, everything snowballs. And how else are you going to get what else are you going to do? Are you going to go, fight tooth and nail and get this one deal at 3%, or do you want to go close 10 at 1.5%? I know it's a bummer, but you're new. You got to hustle to get in.
That's a very good point. And from somebody who's in the real estate business, you don't hear that a lot. But
No.
again, you have to be different. Like, you have to be different. You have to approach your industry in a mindset that's different from everybody else, because only 1% of people do a crap ton of business, and those are probably the 1% of people who are doing something different.
Yep.
Something in some way, shape, or form, they're doing something different. So let's cover one. Okay, so Scottsdale Spotlight now. Like, what do you do? I've seen you've been teaching social media classes. You've partnered up with like Yvonne to she's having you bring value to other people. So like now, like, what are you doing on a week-to-week basis? I see you working with Brunch. That's a startup kind of networking thing that's happening.
Yeah, so, what's kind of funny about that is, right when Scottsdale Spotlight started to take off, my real estate business really did in the exact same month.
Yeah.
Like right now, I've got 6 houses in escrow. And so trying to, fit all of that in has been, a huge, tough thing. But it's really been, Scottsdale Spotlight, it's been getting me down some different roads, like I said, with different hotels, getting me in front of different events, doing marketing from that, and then doing all of my own video content. I'm able to kind of double dip on that and, make money from doing the video production as well as the marketing. And so...
Do you enjoy it?
I do. I still to this day, I really don't know. Like, I was thinking about it the other night of, like where my end goal is. And
Yeah.
I don't have one. I don't think I ever really have had one. I'm just somebody that kind of goes with the flow. And I think that that's a trait that a lot of successful entrepreneurs have. I think it's something that you have, whether you know it or not. Like one thing that I've like realized about you, back when you were a professional golfer, if somebody would have came and said like, hey, you're going to be a mortgage broker, like you would have been like, no. It didn't even sound interesting, but you recognized an opportunity. You saw a door that was at least partway open and you busted through it. And
Nice.
I think that's something that too many people are afraid of, is that they get one end goal in mind. And, when a door starts to open, that's not that goal, they're too afraid to go after it. And
Yeah.
that's my whole mentality, and why I don't necessarily have an end goal in mind is I'm just after opportunity, like whatever. And, wherever that takes me, I'm fine with going.
That's another, man, you are full of good comments today, like quotable comments. You're right. You're so right. And I think it's perception, right? It's not even necessarily glass half full versus glass half empty, but it's perception. There's a lot of individuals who approach life and business and family and friendship in a way where they're constantly, not just like hating on others, but they're always focusing on everybody else. They're always focusing on how everybody else on the outside is so lucky. They're so lucky. That person's so lucky. That person's so lucky. No, that's your perception, because you're focusing on the outside. And there's a quote that I saw the other night that was freaking so awesome. It was, silent success is the killer of loud haters. Silent success, because that's what's happening. People who are hustling their butt off don't have time to be focused on others.
No.
And there's so many people who are constantly, oh, that person's so lucky. No, that's not the truth. The truth is that lucky people just recognize when the opportunity is there, and they jump on it every single time, whether they're going to fail or not. They jump on it.
That's the key, is whether they were failing or not, that they're not afraid to do it.
You just do it. You just do it. You go. Opportunity, go. Opportunity, go. So many people let that opportunity pass them by, and I've seen it. I've seen it with people that almost started getting in the mortgage industry. I had a friend from in 2013 where I was like, dude, you need to get on this with me. Like, I'm telling you, like this is 2013. This is gonna be big. Like the market's starting to come back. Never got into it, and ever since this day, whenever I talk to them, I regret it. Do you want to live your life full of regrets, or do you want to jump on every opportunity? And people will judge you. People will look at that person and say like, oh, he's doing something else, or they're doing something else. No, the reality is there's an opportunity. They take the opportunity. Whether the opportunity fails or not, they took the opportunity. And if you take enough opportunities, probably you're going to be successful in a good chunk of them, but you're also going to fail in a good chunk of them.
Yeah, and I think one of the interesting things that happened with me too is that my overall goal originally was to be a successful real estate agent, and I've been licensed for about 2.5 years now. And last year, I think I sold 5 houses in total, like, nothing impressive whatsoever. Yeah. But it took this whole route of creating Scottsdale Spotlight and creating a marketing company to actually make me become a successful realtor. Like now I'm going to sell more houses in 1 month than I did my entire whole last year.
Yeah.
And it was simply because of a detour that, like, even when I started that detour, I would have never guessed that, like, oh, this is what's going to make my real estate business boom, but it did.
Yeah, in a way where the media company has grown tremendously now. And you were saying you were doing work for hotels now too?
Yep, doing hotels and like the AC hotels, a Marriott brand, Hotel Adeline. We've got some big things with Hotel Adeline coming up too. So,
no way.
Yeah, some new developments in Scottsdale. So
that's amazing. It's opportunity, and people, other similar companies like you may look at you and be like, "Oh, that guy's so lucky." No.
I don't believe in luck. I think it's so garbage.
I mean, I believe in luck to a certain extent, but I just think most of it is just there is opportunity that presents itself to every single person there is. And the difference is, do you jump on the opportunity or you sit back, you be normal, you sit in your normal shell, you don't take any risk. If you don't take any risk, there is no reward. If you don't take any risk, you're probably going to be safe. You're going to live in a safe job. 20 years from now, you might regret yourself and be like, wow, what have I done? That's probably the seed to a midlife crisis. But you got to give yourself a reason to not have a midlife crisis, or not a reason to not look back on your life and be like, oh, I didn't take every opportunity. Like I have investments come across my table all the time. And honestly, most of the time I'm like, yeah, let's do it. Like, why not? Why not? I've done a little VC in a bunch of different little startup companies. Putt Tech, you see a lot about Putt Tech. You want to do a video. I do. You've been wanting to do a video.
We do need to do that. And funny enough, so I also have a bunch of friends that work at Carvana, and I saw you guys just put a Putt Tech course in there, which was awesome.
Yes,
yeah, they all love it.
Well, look at that small world, right?
Yeah, no, it was funny because a bunch of my friends, they were all sending me pictures because I told them about the company, and then like a month later, I was getting all these pictures, and they were sitting at their desk, and they're like, "Is this that company?" And it's like all these workers like literally pounding away right behind their desk. Like,
dude, that's a small world. So Putt Tech, if you don't know, if you see me post a lot about putting courses from Putt Tech, it's actually because I'm a part owner in that. And I got into that. I was actually one of the first couple courses that Cameron, my partner, did, and that it's such a small world. So Carvana had Putt Tech do, I think, like a little 5-hole course in the office,
literally right behind the desk.
Yeah, on the window. They did it was just, what I think is cool about that is that Carvana, like the corporate office, like did that for their employees.
Yeah, they have you seen the inside of that office?
No, I haven't.
I will give them credit. They do a lot for their employees. Their office is really incredible.
So Putt Tech did a 5-hole course inside the office, and do they just love it?
They do. I guess it's like one of the most used things, and they have like a full basketball court in there. Like they've got all sorts of stuff, and that's
really?
Like one of the most.
Where's
used.
The corporate office?
It's right off the 202 in Tempe.
Interesting.
And I guess now a lot of the guys, they've all brought their own putters in, so now everybody has their own putters that they keep in the office, and like it's.
That's hilarious. But yeah, it's opportunity, and Putt Tech's growing, and Putt Tech could have failed. Putt Tech's growing at its pace, and it just doesn't matter. It doesn't matter if you're in real estate. You just got to keep going. But at the end of the day, you have to figure out the path that makes you happy. And I 100% believe there's a million ways of doing business, no matter what business it is. And if you find the way that makes you happy while you're doing it, like you can go all in on it and work 15 hours a day like you do because you like it.
I love it.
To you, it's fun. It's like your hobby, but you love it. And there's a lot of people who couldn't do 15 hours a day. They couldn't. It's too much. It would drain them. But if you love it, you can go all in on it. You can put your passion to it, and in return, you'll be successful.
Well, and you know what I'm a really big believer in as well is a lot of people, they like to dwell like in the past, and I'm somebody that I truthfully believe like I live in the future 100%. Like as soon as I wake up in the morning, the very first thing I do is I'm envisioning like what I want my future to look like. Back when Scottsdale Spotlight was nothing, like I was waking up every day envisioning Scottsdale Spotlight as this big company. And I think what too many people do is they wake up and the first thing that comes to their mind, like your brain's programmed to kind of recap everything that's happened. It's memory recall. And so you wake up in the morning and you start recapping, what stressed you out yesterday, the bad thing that happened last week, everything else. And your whole day started horribly, where if you're waking up every day and envisioning like what you want your future to be like you jump out of bed motivated as hell.
Yeah. That's such a good comment, man. If anybody wants to get with Eric and just network, he loves networking with people. If you have a company that you want to do some media for, like network with Eric and see if you can do something together. We got to have another show.
Yeah, absolutely.
Because now it's the official, like the How I Built It, since we rebranded it since you came on, and we went a different direction. And same thing with the old podcast. It kind of got stale, and it's not like I didn't quit. It's just I tweaked it, and now it's fun again.
Exactly.
It's fun, and the podcast is the perfect example of that. So, if anybody has any questions for Eric, you can find Scottsdale Spotlight on social media. You can email him, text him, direct message him. He's awesome because he's in that battlefield right now. He's still growing Scottsdale Spotlight, and it's going to be cool to see where it is in 5 to 10 years. Really quick shout out to our sponsors again. Thank you for always sponsoring the show. Empire West Title, Abe Bodden from Insurance Professionals of Arizona, and Platinum Home Warranty, Von Hunter. Again, if you guys need contact any one of those people, or if you're just looking for any type of business, let myself or Eric know, and we'll put you in the right path. Lister Pro Studio, thank you for producing an awesome show. You guys are awesome. If anybody needs any photography done for their listings or anything like that, Lister Pros is awesome. My name is Andrew Augustiniak. I'm the branch manager at Prime Lending, and this is the How I Built It podcast. Make sure to subscribe on your Apple phones. Thank you for tuning in. We'll catch you next week. Have a great weekend.